All right. So question number 23, the boiling points of methane, ethane, propane, and butane are given. Now, you know, these are all alkanes, and you can see they only have carbon and hydrogen. So, you know, the electronegativity of carbon and hydrogen is similar. So these will be non-polar molecules. And since they are non-polar, they will have which type of intermolecular forces? They will have temporary dipole forces, and they've given you the boiling points, and the boiling points are increasing. And why would the boiling point increase? Because the number of electrons are increasing. So you will say that the number of electrons are increasing is why the strength of intermolecular forces increase, and is why the boiling point increases. Closer packing of molecules results in stronger van der Waals forces. More covalent bonds are present. More electrons in the molecules, yes, results in stronger van der Waals forces. That is true. More hydrogen atoms, we don't care. Why is the boiling point of ammonia greater than that of phosphine? So why is it greater? Because ammonia has which type of intermolecular forces? Hydrogen bonding. And what does phosphine have? Permanent dipole forces, because this is not a non-polar molecule, because like NH3, PH3 also has a lone pair here. So this makes it polar. Yeah, and this has permanent dipole forces. So because ammonia has hydrogen bonding, ammonia molecules are polar, phosphine is non-polar. That's not true. Ammonia has significant hydrogen bonding. Yes. NH covalent bonds, we don't care. There's a lone pair on ammonia, not on phosphine. That's not true. All right. Section B, question 2. What is involved when a hydrogen bond is formed between two molecules? So we know hydrogen bonding occurs when you have H with an N, H with an F, or H with an O. And the electronegative element must have at least one lone pair. So they're saying a hydrogen atom bonded to a less electronegative element than itself. No, it should be more electronegative. So it should not be less, it should be more. And if one is wrong, the answer is always C, right? A lone pair of electron is required, yes. An electrostatic attraction between opposite charges, yes, because you know it is from the partial positive end to the lone pair of the adjacent molecule, yes. 3, which physical properties are due to hydrogen bonding between water molecules? So we know water has hydrogen bonding. Water has high boiling point. Is that due to hydrogen bonding? Yes, because hydrogen bonds are strong forces of attraction and therefore higher boiling point. Ice floats on water. Ice is what? H2O. Water is also what? H2O, just the state is different. And you see ice floats on water. When you put ice cubes, let's say, they float on water. And why is that? Because ice forms hydrogen bonds with the surface of the liquid. So for example, you have a glass of water right here, and then you put ice. You see ice floating on water. And why is that? Because there is hydrogen bonding between the ice and the surface of water. And that's why ice floats. So that is, yes, because of hydrogen bonding. Then water molecule has a bond angle of approximately 104. Is that true? Is this true? Does water have a bond angle of 104? Yes, it does. But it is not due to hydrogen bonding. So even though this statement is right, it won't be correct, or it won't apply here because it's not due to hydrogen bonding. Therefore, the answer is B. All right, question number 5. The concepts of bond energy, blah, 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 blah. So you need to fill in the X and Y and you see which statements are correct. Now they're talking about HI and HCl. If you remember, HCl has a shorter bond length and HI has a greater bond length. So can I say that this is a stronger bond? Yeah, it has a shorter bond length. And this has a higher bond energy, therefore, because it's a stronger bond. This will have a greater bond length. Therefore, this is a weaker bond. Therefore, it has low bond energy. Yes? Now let's plug in the X and Y here and let's see which statement is true. So X is energy, Y is greater. I'm checking option 1. They are saying compared to HCl, the bond energy of HI is greater. Is that true? Is HI, does it have higher bond energy? No, it has less bond energy. And why is that? Because the bond is weak. So is statement 1 right? No, if 1 is wrong, the answer is always C. And you can check also. Let's put X as length And let's put this as greater. Compared to HCl, the bond length of HI is greater. Is that true? Yes, bond length of HI is greater. Then this is polarity and that is less. So let's see this. The polarity of HI is less. Is that true? Yes, because which is more polar, Cl or I? Cl, because FONCl. Cl is more electronegative. So this is more electronegative. So can I say this is a more polar bond? And therefore this will be less polar. So this statement is also correct. The answer is C. Clear? Question number 9. Intermolecular forces between iodine molecules are instantaneous dipole and induced dipole. What do you mean by instantaneous dipole? It is the same thing as temporary dipole. Now they're talking about iodine. Is iodine polar or non-polar? Non-polar. Yes. Statement 1. Iodine molecule is polar. You don't even need to read ahead. You see, just till here, you know this statement is wrong because iodine is not polar. Iodine is non-polar. And if one is wrong, the answer is always C. Is that clear? And what does it say? It says iodine has a fluctuating dipole. Is that true? Yes, we know the temporary dipole is fluctuating. The electron cloud with iodine may become unsymmetrical and they may attract other iodine molecules. What they basically mean is, remember I told you that the electrons may lie closer to one of the atoms, making it partial negative. So it become unsymmetric. And then they are saying it may attract other molecules. I told you that then it induces a dipole in the neighboring molecule. So that's the other way to put it. Clear? Answer therefore is C. Question number 1. Ethene and hydrazine are hydrides of elements, blah, blah, blah. Ethene and hydrazine have similar arrangement of atoms with different shapes. Let's see ethene. So we've done ethene as an example of sp2 hybridization. Do you remember? So let's make ethene, that is C2H4. They're asking you the bond angle. What is your central atom? Carbon. How many sigma bonds around it? 3. Because in a double bond, one is sigma, one is pi. How many lone pairs? 0. Steric number? 3. Hybridization? sp2. Bond angle? 120. Draw a dot and cross for hydrazine. Hydrazine is N2H4. Nitrogen can make how many bonds? 3. So you have N2, H, 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 and H. Do you see each nitrogen is making 3 bonds? You got to make a dot and cross. So let's make a dot and cross. You have a nitrogen atom, another nitrogen atom, a hydrogen, a hydrogen, a hydrogen, and a hydrogen. So let's make N2, H1, 2, 3, and 4. So right here between nitrogen, you have a single bond. So 1 electron and 2 electrons. Then dot cross, dot cross, dot cross, dot cross. Each nitrogen has 5 outer electrons. 3 are making bonds. So the 4th and 5th will be a lone pair. So right here, let's make the lone pair 1, 2. And let's make the lone pair 1, 2. For one nitrogen, I have used this. For the other nitrogen, I have used this. And for hydrogen, I have used this cross. All right. What is the bond angle? NHH bond angle in hydrazine. So what is your central atom? Nitrogen. How many sigma bonds around it? 3. How many lone pairs? 1. Steric number? 4. Hybridization sp3 should be 109.5, but 1 lone pair decreases the angle by 2.5, and this will be a 107. Melting and boiling points of hydrazine are much higher than those of ethene. Suggest a reason in terms of intermolecular forces for each compound. So you've got to give the forces of both the compounds and then explain why hydrazine has a higher boiling point. Now, which type of forces does hydrazine have? It has N bonded to an H directly, and N also has a lone pair. So which type of intermolecular forces can this have? Hydrogen bonding. What about ethene? Ethene is non-polar, so this will have temporary dipole forces. So you will say that hydrazine has strong intermolecular forces. And what are those forces? Hydrogen bonding. Hence, more energy required to overcome the forces. So hence, more energy is required to overcome the forces. Therefore, higher boiling point or greater boiling point compared to ethene, which has temporary dipole induced dipole forces, which are weaker forces. Clear? Is this clear? All right, question number 5. How many lone pairs of electrons are around the oxygen atom in methoxymethane? Now, right here, they've given you water. They've labeled it water. Then this is methanol. And this is methoxymethane. Now, they're saying how many lone pairs are there around oxygen and methoxymethane? Oxygen is in group 6. So 2 electrons are right here. 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. So how many lone pairs? 2. Suggest the COC bond angle in methoxymethane. How many sigma bonds around oxygen? 2. How many lone pairs? 2. Steric number? 4. Hybridization? sp3. Bond angle should be 109.5, but 2 lone pairs decrease the angle and make it 104.5. Now they've given you the intermolecular forces as ABC. A is permanent dipole, B is temporary dipole, C is hydrogen bonds. And they're saying for these compounds, you need to give the strongest intermolecular force. Now, the only thing that you probably can't figure out is ethanol because you haven't done organic yet. Once we do organic, you'll know the structure of ethanol. Let me just show you what it looks like. So ethanol is this guy right here. CH3, C double bond O, H. This is ethanol. Is it a polar molecule, non-polar molecule? What do you think it is? It is polar. Why? Because oxygen is partial negative and all of this is partial positive. And the dipoles don't cancel out. There will be a dipole this way, a dipole moment. So this is a polar molecule. So which type of forces will this have? Permanent dipole forces. So they're saying, what does ethanol have? Permanent dipole force. It will also have temporary dipole forces, but you need to name the strongest. Ethanol. What does ethanol have? Hydrogen bonding. So this would be C. What about methoxymethane? This guy right here. Is it polar, non-polar? Polar, non-polar? Polar, because I told you lone pairs disturb the symmetry. So this is polar. This will have what? Permanent dipole forces. So this will be A. 2-methyl-propane. Now, if you don't remember the structure of 2-methyl-propane, it was an isomer of butane. If you don't remember it, you can just look at it. It only has carbon and hydrogen. And you know that electronegativity is similar. So this will be non-polar. And therefore, this will have which type of forces? Temporary dipole, induced dipole, that is B. Let me make 2-methyl-propane for you. This is 3-carbon propane. And on carbon 2, you have a methyl group. If you don't remember this, that is all right. We will do this in organic chemistry when we do isomerism. But you can still identify that it has temporary dipole forces because there's only carbon and hydrogen. Clear? All of you get this? All right. Methanol and water are completely soluble in each other. Why are they soluble in each other? Because of hydrogen bonding. So they're saying which intermolecular force makes them soluble. So that is hydrogen bonding. Then you have to show that force. So let's show methanol and water. So this right here is methanol. And this right here is water. Let's label all the lone pairs and the dipoles. On oxygen, you will have 2 lone pairs. This is partial positive, partial negative, partial negative, partial positive. How will we show hydrogen bonding? Partial positive hydrogen to the lone pair of the adjacent molecule. And you label this. This right here is your hydrogen bonding. Is that clear? Do you understand this? Can you guys try question number 6, 7, and 8 right now? Question number 6. Neon and argon can both be obtained by fractional distillation. Neon has a boiling point 27.3, argon is 87.4. Name the force that has to be overcome in order to boil neon and argon. So we know neon and argon both are non-polar molecules. So which type of force will we have to overcome? Temporary dipole forces. And how do we form temporary dipole, induced dipole forces? They've asked you to explain what causes it. So you know that if you momentarily pause the motion of electrons or pause the movement of electrons, they lie closer to one atom, making it what? Partial negative, and a temporary dipole is formed, which induces a dipole in the neighboring molecule. Clear? You have to write in your proper sentences. I'm just writing the keywords here. So it induces a dipole in the neighboring molecule. Clear? Now they're saying explain why argon has a higher boiling point than neon. Both have similar forces, same forces, but why is argon greater? Because more number of electrons in argon, therefore stronger forces, and therefore more energy required to overcome the forces. So more energy is required to overcome the forces, and therefore higher boiling point. Clear? Carbon disulfide is volatile, stinking liquid, which is used, draw a dot and cross for carbon disulfide. So CO2 was like this. CS2 will be the same way. Why? Because oxygen and sulfur are in the same group. Yes? So now let's see. Carbon right here is in the middle, and then we have sulfur, and we have another sulfur. It's a double bond between carbon and sulfur. So that means how many electrons are shared? 4. So dot cross, dot cross, dot cross. Carbon has 4 outer electrons, all 4 are making bonds. Sulfur has 6. 2 are making bonds. 3, 4, 5, and 6. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you can show your key. These are your sulfur electrons, and the cross represents to the electrons of carbon. Suggest the shape of the molecule, give the bond angles. What do you think the molecule shape would be? How many sigma bonds around the central carbon? 2. How many lone pairs on carbon? 0. Steric number? 2. Hybridization? sp shape? Linear bond angle? 180. Draw a dot and cross to show H2S. H2S will be the same as H2O because sulfur, like oxygen, is in the same group, 16. So you got to draw a dot and cross. So right here is sulfur, hydrogen, hydrogen. So let's take sulfur, hydrogen, hydrogen. Sulfur has 6 outer electrons. 1 is here, 2nd is here, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is hydrogen's electron, hydrogen's electron. So the dot is the electron of sulfur, and cross represents the electron of hydrogen. Predict the shape. So how many sigma bonds around sulfur? 2. How many lone pairs? Also 2. Steric number? 4. Hybridization? sp3 should have been 109.5, but 2 lone pairs decrease the angle, and this becomes 104.5. They've asked the shape though. So the shape would be what? Bent, angular, V-shaped. Oxygen and sulfur are both in group 6 of the periodic table. Suggests why the melting point of water is higher than H2S. That would be because water has hydrogen bonding, which is a stronger force, more energy required to overcome the forces, therefore higher boiling point. Yes? So it has hydrogen bonding, more energy required to overcome the strong forces. I'm not writing complete sentences. Please do that. And H2S has what? It has permanent dipole forces, which will be relatively weaker. Clear? Question number 8. You need to fill the table. So carbon 13 is the name of the isotope. Carbon has how many electrons? 6, right? If you see the configuration, 2, 2, 2, there is 6 electrons. So that means none are gained or lost. So you have carbon 13. Rather than 12, we will write 13 because it's a 13 isotope. And this will stay as 6. What will be the charge? 0. What will be the type of particle? Atom. Then right here, chlorine 37. So which isotope of chlorine is this? Chlorine 37. It has a charge of -1. That means it has gained an electron. The type would be anion. It's gained an electron. So how many total electrons now? 18. So this would be what? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6. That becomes your configuration. Sulfur 34. So sulfur 34. Generally you see 32. So this is 34. Sulfur has 16 electrons or protons. So we write 16. It's an atom with 0 charge. All right. So 16 electrons. What will be the configuration? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p4. Clear? Then iron. They are saying it's a cation. So it's iron 54. So if it's iron 54, can we say Fe54? And let's count the electrons. 10, 12, 18, 18 plus 6, 24. Iron has 26 electrons. The proton number is 26. But since it is 24 in the configuration, that means you must have lost 2. So that must have been a 2 plus. So the charge is 2 plus and they've told you it's a cation. Clear? Explain the meaning of the term electronegativity. So what is electronegativity? It is the ability of an atom, of an element, to pull the shared pair of electron towards itself. So it is to pull the shared pair of electron towards itself. Name and describe the type of bonding that you will expect between particles with equal electronegativities. Will it be covalent bonding or ionic bonding? If the electronegativities are equal, which type of bonding would it be? Covalent bonding. And which type of covalent bonding would it be? Non-polar covalent. Yes. And which type of intermolecular force? Temporary dipole force. But they haven't asked the force. And they're saying, explain the type of bonding. So what is the covalent bonding? It is the electrostatic force of attraction formed by sharing of electrons. So it is formed by sharing of electrons. One from each atom. Yes? Now they're saying, what will you expect the type of bonding in the particles are very different electronegativities. Ionic bonding. And what is ionic bonding? It is electrostatic force of attraction formed due to complete form between two oppositely charged ions due to complete transfer of electrons. Yes? Is this clear? All right, moving on. The boiling point of some molecules are given. Explain why boiling points of fluorine and argon are so similar. So what is fluorine? Fluorine is F2. Is it polar, non-polar? Polar, non-polar, non-polar. So this will have which type of forces? Temporary. What about argon? This is also non-polar. So their forces will be what? So they have temporary dipole forces. They're saying, why are their forces similar? Why is their melting point similar? Sorry, their boiling point. So they have temporary dipole, induced dipole forces, and the strength is similar. Why? Because the number of electrons are the same. In fluorine, you will have 9 times 2, that is 18 electrons, and argon also we have 18 electrons. Clear? So the strength of the forces is the same due to same number of electrons. That is how many electrons? 18. Do you see there's not a lot of difference? It's 82 and 87. Explain why boiling point of HCl is higher than that of fluorine. HCl and fluorine. Why are the boiling points different? Because HCl has permanent dipole forces, which are stronger. So this has permanent dipole forces, which are stronger. Therefore, more energy required to overcome the forces. And what does fluorine have? Fluorine has temporary dipole forces. Explain why methanol has the highest boiling point of all of these. Methanol has the highest boiling point of all of these. Why? Because it has hydrogen bonding. And that is what? The strongest intermolecular force. Yes. Hence more energy required to overcome the forces. Is this clear? Do you guys understand this? Any questions?